Mm-hmm. Okay, here I try to avoid this. Okay, that kind of day I'm gonna struggle with this. Farches. Okay. Yeah, here I try to get as close as possible but avoid the curb. And then use as much as possible here. Well, not sure now. Not as much probably, but more. Okay, shifting. A bit earlier. I'm not sure. Usually I shift with Porsche just after the blue lights. But here I found it faster if I do it before I even see them. And here I think the fast, you're doing it about right, but more in the middle. Like hug this incline in the middle. Both in this stretch and in the back stretch. Just free time in the straights. Here it feels that you could be braking a bit earlier, just a bit, and turning in just a bit earlier. It's important because like it's a normal road where the track, well, the road is like in this side it's going down that way, in this side going down that way, and you want to get to that camber as soon as possible. So turn in a bit earlier and then hug this. You know, it even shows where you go up the hill a little bit and the car is not turning in. So if you turn in a bit earlier, you get to that cambered part a bit earlier and then you can hug the curb a little bit better. Then with more speed. This is a bit too slow. Okay, so this probably about fine. Maybe turning in just a bit too early. It's not bad, it's not too bad. This part. I think you're on throttle a bit too early. With not enough turn in done. And when you understeer. Whereas here you want to hug this. And now it's fine, it's fine. But here you're a bit too wide. It's fine to go wide and go to near this side, near this wall, but you still need to be a bit tighter here. Just so you can go on throttle earlier. Let's see how mine looked. I was experimenting a bit as well with different cars, different lines. Just, you see it a bit closer, and when I still go wide here, but on the throttle earlier. I go a bit wider here as well, so that might help. But here, way closer to that wall. You know, and then, yeah, wide out here. So it makes sense that you are slower in maybe, you know, in the middle of the corner because you're taking the tighter line. But then you can go on the throttle earlier, and also here, well, the car is very unbalanced. Here, understeer, and then here you get a bit of oversteer. So it's, you know, not as efficient as going out of the corner with the balanced car, where you can go on the throttle and, you know, go straight. So, advice to fix this would be go a bit wider here. And start turning a bit later. And if it feels too slow, maybe start braking a bit later. Because here, I would like to turn a bit more, but I see that if you would, then it's likely that you will hit a wall. So if you do it from a little bit wider, and a bit later, then you can do that and stay close to the wall. Yeah, because exit is important here, because you're pretty much full throttle through the long section here. So you can lose a little bit of speed mid-corner here, it's not a big problem if you get a good exit. And yeah, and shift earlier all the way through. Don't wait and don't let them flash the blue lights. This was fine. Yeah, I struggle a lot with these two corners. I even lift a little bit here, I think. Sometimes. Yeah, so try to avoid losing the rear. But I struggle with that as well. Porsche is very tricky in these kind of corners. Especially in track like this, where you need to run low down first. This is about as close as I get as well. And this is not too bad either. Probably a bit slow here. I lift a bit earlier, I think. I lift around the start of the curve probably and start turning in. And try to stay tight here. And then back on the throttle and fully wide. Even can go on that curve. But if you go over that curve, then very, very careful. Very difficult when to get back on the track. Here I think a bit too slow. I think a bit early on the brakes. And here I think you could be turning in a bit later, just a bit later. When you can be clear of this and take a bit like wider line. Just a bit. So the straighter line, might I say. Because here you're already braking, you need to still turn for that corner. So you could try to straighten it a little bit more. But also probably need to be a little bit braver here. In telemetry maybe we'll see the difference better. Because here you should be taking a little bit more speed. So on the brakes maybe a bit softer, a bit later, we'll see. The line, as I said here, could be a bit straighter. Clipping that curve about right. I think I might be clipping with less because with more speed it's not easy to cut as much. Actually, let me check. Yeah. With the speed that I was going through here, if I tried to clip it, it did not work. But here, this is fine. Get closer to this. So yeah, so brake more to get closer to this. You're doing that right. here, very difficult, and comes only with practice, but you need to be a little bit closer to the wall here. Actually, let me see how mine looks. Yeah, a bit faster. Close to the wall, and here, turning in even before the wall. Yeah, a bit more confidence. And then obviously, yeah. So once you get a bit closer to the wall, when you come out a bit tighter, and you can also, you get a straighter line through here. You can get on the throttle more, don't need to turn here that much, not getting that oversteer that you were getting. I like the line, and this is fine, probably on the throttle a bit earlier, just, you know, because I usually try to come out a bit closer to the wall. Just shows that there's a bit more space for a bit earlier throttle. Here, yeah, stay in the middle, that's faster. And a bit earlier upshifts. Even earlier than that. Yeah, before the blue lights. This is good. This is good. Feels like a bit too late on the throttle. Probably compromise your exit a little bit here. But didn't look too bad. I'd say last downshift is too late. Shift now. You do the last downshift a bit too late in the corner. But not too bad. Yeah, could be. With that downshift, I think you could be a bit closer. Yeah. Let's see if we can get anything good from the telemetry. Where is me? Okay, turn 1. I'm carrying a bit more speed. But I brake a bit earlier. Just not as much. And my line is a little bit wider. So yeah, you clip that curb. So try to go around it. And then use more of the exit. This will allow you to get more speed. And you can see my downshifts a bit earlier, upshifts earlier. So downshifts earlier by quite a lot, upshifts by just a little bit. Yeah, and I even go to 6 here. Just because I shift earlier. Maybe it's not worth it in the end. For this last one. This is turn 2, right? Okay. Again, similar story. I break a bit more. Similar time, but a bit more. Let's check. Let's check the line. So yeah, I'm turning in a bit earlier, as I said, to get on that better camber, closer to the curb, and that is what allows me to go a little bit faster earlier on the throttle. Yeah, and here on the exit also using more, but yeah, with Porsche that curb is easy. You can go as close to the wall as possible. Here, nice. We get to about the same point. Let's see in the telemetry. So yeah, I go a bit wider. So a bit straighter as well, you know, with less turning. Not as much turning in. I brake a bit earlier, but again lighter. Carry a bit more speed to the apex. And turn in, well, just more basically. You can see even here, turning in more in the first part. Just to get closer to this wall. And then on the exit, yeah. The line out of the corner is shorter as well, straighter, and I can go without the throttle corrections. This is about fine. Okay, this is the first right-hander. Yeah, go a bit wider. But you have that correction. Yeah, I lift a little bit, but not as much as you do, and a bit later. I'm wondering what happened first. You lifted or you lost the rear? Because I think maybe you're lifting too much, that's why you're losing the rear. Could try lifting a bit less. You lose it here. So yeah, you see you lifted and you lost the rear. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Especially with Porsche, these two corners, very difficult. So yeah, you my best advice to find something that's, you know, comfortable and stable for you, and not to try to do it perfectly every time. You'll do enough of practice, you will start feeling it a bit more. What's where you can, you know, push a bit more. But for now, for these two corners, this one and next one, try just to find something that you can do consistently. But basically what happens here is you lift. When you lift, a bit too much weight goes from back to front tires, and when the rears lose the grip. So by lifting less, the balance is like well, the car is more balanced. The grip is more even between the tires. More grip on the rear tires. Okay, let's go to the next one. Again, tricky one. So yeah, I'm coming here with way more speed because of the last corner went more smoothly for me. I lift, but still, as I said, right, I lift a bit earlier here, about where that red and white curve begins. And turning in is probably around the same. But when here, well, yeah, we come out with the similar speed. I think this is probably not perfect for me as well. Just what is comfortable for me at the moment with few laps of practice, so not a surprise. But yeah, because coming out of it with similar speed, you're not even using the full track here. So I'd say for both of us some improvement here, but also I take my own advice and just do what's comfortable for me at this point. After I do like 100 laps, then I can do what I would be able to do what isn't comfortable for me at this point. Well, yeah. So yeah, I would advise to lift a bit earlier and then on the throttle with more confidence. Yeah, here would advise to get closer to this wall. Allows to straighten the line a little bit. This curb I'm not taking as much. Let's see how this looks. This is the interesting part. Yeah. My braking is here, braking and turning, just trying to stay as close as possible to the wall, but you know, you don't need to lose that speed here. This part, you know, you're just slightly turning in, so you can just, you know, trail brake a little bit for better turn in, and you know, start to losing the speed, but you don't need to lose all the speed at this point. Now, this part, right, braking for this left-hander. Well, left-hand, not really. Braking more for this right-hander, but losing speed. Basically, what you're doing here is straightening out the wheel, braking with straight wheel. When you start turning, you know, and when brake a bit less, and also the curb. Until the curb, brake hard. On the curb, brake light, and then after the curb, again before the corner, brake harder. So with the wheel straighter, brake more. With the car stable, brake more. With and the other way around. Yeah, here I'm staying a bit tighter. You cut that curb. But what I've noticed, at least with the few laps that I did with Porsche, I'm able to carry more speed if I'm staying not off the curb, but not fully on the curb. And when, yeah, I'm a bit tighter here, but still able to match your speed here until the braking zone. And here you go a bit more on the throttle than I do, but I'm trying to stay as tight as possible here to this right wall. You know, not as tight as possible, but a bit tighter. So, you know, just have a better entry into this dip. And, you know, just also leave more space for mistake here. Because the wall here gets very close, the wall here gets very close. Okay, this is another tricky part. Right, this is fine, about fine. Yeah, again, start braking. I start braking a bit earlier and a bit less, but then reach the very similar amount of braking that you do. But again, that's where I start braking. But that's just basically just to get the car to turn in better. You see, I try to get to the right as much as possible. Yeah. So here you are not getting as wide as you should get, as tight around this wall or as wide for this entry. Yeah, but still losing a bit more speed than I do. You know, so again, at this point, you can still carry that speed. The scary part is this one where you need to lose that speed. So here, trail brake a little bit, as close to the wall as possible. No, probably not as close as possible, but a bit closer to the wall. And then here in the straight line, brake as much as possible. As much as possible means not too much because it's downhill. If you brake more, the car is not stopping at all. Or, well, stopping less. Yeah, but a bit wider here will also help with the entry here to carry more speed through the corner. And on the exit, here, you see, we are on the throttle around the same time. I'm just a bit later, but I'm carrying a bit more speed. And with that speed and the amount of car that I've rotated with my throttle, it takes me, you know, to the edge of the wall. So that's the goal. Use as much as possible and still avoid the wall here. Here, in the middle of the track, actually, let's try to compare. Not sure, you know, if the setup will be different. Yeah, but it shows that you know, you're losing it's a kilometer or two, but still, you know, free speed just by staying in the middle of the track and shifting earlier. Oh yeah, and at this point the difference is quite big through the entire straight until the yeah. We leave with about the same amount of speed, and at the end of straight 2 kilometers. So whole straight 1 to 2 kilometers slower. Yeah. Here I'm braking a bit earlier. 100% is can be fine here because it's a uphill, a huge compression zone, so can work. Not a big problem. But this is not too bad from you as well. Losing, well, winning some time here on the braking because braking later, losing a bit here, turning in with a bit less speed, but then on the throttle a bit with a bit more confidence in me. About the same. I would still recommend braking earlier, but because it's easier on the tires. In the race distance, you will need that. But your exit was fine here. The line seems okay as well. Okay, and the last one. Again, I'm braking a bit earlier, a bit lighter. And I shift to second a bit earlier. Not a bit. I've noticed that your shift was too late for me. Yeah, and you go out a bit wide. I try to stay as close as possible to the curb.